Hello, everybody, and today in the Fintech Minute Stake, we are delighted to welcome a dear friend, but also one of the leaders of Fintech and blockchain in Hong Kong, Mr. Charles Dossey. Hi, Charles. Welcome to Fintech Minute Stake.
Thank you for having me, Musheer. Good to be here.
Look, last week was, or the week before, in fact, the FinTech week was exciting. We heard a lot of things about blockchain, decentralization, CBDCs. Congratulations on ConsenSys winning those amazing projects for CBDC research with Bank of Thailand and HKMA, as well as in other regions in the world. Right now, I know we have a new report out from ConsenSys on DeFi, but before we talk about that report, I think it's the broader audience may want to understand what is this DeFi. Is it define something, or what are we talking about, and how is that gonna have a fundamental impact on financial services? So would you like to make a few comments on that, please?
Sure, absolutely. So DeFi stands for Decentralized Finance. So it's essentially finance practiced and research in a decentralized way on blockchain networks. Today, most of the DeFi is happening on Ethereum as the leading smart contract and blockchain platform. And you find the different components of finance also appear in DeFi. So you find people doing lending, you find people doing market making, you find people doing all different kind of activities in finance. But they do it with digitally native tokens representing value. And they are researching different ways to automate things which are not automated in finance. So it's very much experimental today, but it's growing in importance. And I believe that some components of this research and this experimentation of DeFi will actually contribute to the finance we know as today, what we call CFI for centralized finance.
Yeah.
So I guess the separations between these two worlds will become more and more blurred,
yeah.
and DeFi will contribute with new infrastructure. So that's just imagine in other words, DeFi will be maybe something like maybe your HSBC account being able to speak directly with Revolut, being able to speak directly with your SoFi account or some other Alipay account, and suddenly all these financial services becomes connectable in a very smooth manner and in a decentralized manner. So that would be a DeFi experience.
Right. So I think that's a good point, right? We've been seeing on the other side, one side is the Central Bank Digital Currencies or CBDCs, where the central banks are entering into the blockchain world or distributed ledger technology world more specifically, and probably that's where we're seeing monetary policy will be more controlled or more it's reducing the intermediaries, and it's likely to be direct to central banks. And on the other hand, you're seeing DeFi, which is democratizing in some senses finance, and you're in charge of your finance that's the ideal state, right? So you said these two things are likely to blur, but which of these two do you see accelerating in the next year or so?
I think you will see more and more of automated lending against collaterals. So with tokenization of assets, you can imagine that this token representing asset can be very easily used as a collateral for any lending in any currency of your choice. So I think it's going to be fairly quickly a reality for many of us. You can maybe expect that maybe the digital asset from mobile gaming or for some other type of digital asset will be used first as collaterals and later some more classic collaterals. So lending is, I think, probably something which is coming fairly quick. And also the use of CBDCs. You might see the use of CBDCs in kind of decentralized platforms where the money coming from central banks will be also compatible in a way to in some other places where to spend it.
Yes, I think interoperability, I think, is going to be a big factor going forward as well, right? As we see more CBDCs. Now, you've been working for ConsenSys for almost 2 years now,
Absolutely.
Right? Would you want to tell people a little bit about ConsenSys, those who may not be aware? Of course, ConsenSys is such a big name in the blockchain world and people know, but those who are in the financial services world, what is ConsenSys and why is it the talk of the town currently?
Absolutely. ConsenSys is the world's largest blockchain engineering company on Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum ecosystem is the world's largest blockchain ecosystem with more than 350,000 developers, and ConsenSys is 5 years old. So in an industry which is more or less 5 years old, it means we started from day one in the industry. So we are very instrumental in bringing tools to the developers as well as developing applications. So today the company is distributed around the world. The Hong Kong office is the hub for APAC, and we focus on building protocols. That's one big part of our focus. Another focus is to make sure that the blockchain gets consumable via API, so that it can connect with existing systems, so it can be easily built upon. And the third part is building tools for the developers. So 3 main activities, and today we are servicing mostly the financial industry, from central banks to stock exchanges, banks, stock brokers, payment providers. A multitude of practitioners are really looking at a global settlement network such as Ethereum to enable their stable coins or distribution in general.
I guess it's a good point, right, that we're seeing such big growth. You're seeing, in 5 years, you've reached a stage. You recently bought Quorum from JP Morgan as ConsenSys, which is JP Morgan's blockchain system and coin, etc., that you develop for financial services. But one key element that we talk often about is financial education, right? Even in the modern day regular finance, there's a lot of lack of financial education for end customers on something that may be complex, and regulators are paying a lot of attention to that. And your reports that are coming out, I think, is a big part of that financial education, right? So I think they have come out with a bunch of reports, and this DeFi report that ConsenSys has come out with, I think is quite exciting. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about why ConsenSys is trying to drive more financial education, and of course about the DeFi report itself?
Sure. Education is very important because the technology is very new. It has potentials which appear and are kind of crafted by the practitioners. So the technology is really a tool, and if you don't understand the tool, you will not let every developers or entrepreneurs make the best of it. So education is very important, and the Ethereum ecosystem is also moving so fast and bringing new tools and new concepts so fast that you have to keep educating the developers and also the executives to make sure everyone keep updated. So we publish a quarterly DeFi report, which is really focusing on the biggest trend of the quarter. It's not an annual report, it's a quarterly report. So it gives you an idea of how fast this ecosystem is growing. And if you look at the total lot value, so the total value of assets which are in the DeFi ecosystem today, it's essentially growing by 2 quarter to quarter almost. It's really a very fast growing ecosystem. So our colleagues from ConsenSys, Everett Musi, Tom Hay, and James Beck have been working on this Q3 DeFi report, and I really invite you to look at it. We deep dive into auto market making. Today there is market makers in capital market. This is a full-time job. There is teams, there is algorithm, but there is also market making enabled by blockchain, by a series of smart contracts with liquidity mechanisms. So if you are in finance and technology, this is really where DeFi brings together code engineers as well as financial engineers. And I think this is why the conversation and the output is so interesting, because of the diversity of the people being involved with that.
I'm just going to step one very quick question for maybe the audience's clarification. When we're talking about the auto market making, we're talking about regular equity stocks, fixed income bonds, regular markets, right? Or are we talking about crypto markets here?
Only crypto markets. So it's really within the DeFi market. Okay. So for example, an automated market making platform will be, for example, platforms such as Uniswap or Balancers, which are this kind of decentralized exchange where they are able to bring an asset and create a market making mechanism for this asset. And what it brings as an opportunity is to bring liquidity to illiquid assets or digital assets which are not so popular yet. So market making is a big trend. There is also a big trend around governance tokens as well as staking. This space is growing and maturing at a very fast pace, and this Q3 DeFi report by ConsenSys covers that. And then we've got these lending platforms. As I was mentioning, lending is a fairly straightforward mechanism, and it's very easy to apply lending in the blockchain world with an escrow with different terms and conditions against you receiving some digital asset. It can be a US dollar representation, or it can be some other digital asset. So there is also a lot of maturity coming in the world of lending, and this covers in this report. So I really encourage you to download this report, study it, register to the newsletter. You can go to ConsenSys.net, but you should also stop by Musheer LinkedIn account for all news about blockchain and probably getting the report from there as well.
Thank you so much, Charles, for taking your time to speak to us today. I know you have a very busy schedule. DeFi world is a very hectic and busy world, and we had an honor talking to you, and we look forward to staying in touch. And thanks, everyone. Please go to ConsenSys.net, or you can come to Charles's LinkedIn account, one of the key KOLs in Fintech, to follow and understand more about Fintech and blockchain. So thanks, and speak soon.
Thank you.